Hello and welcome. I'm Jeff Bonanno, and you are listening to the Do Something Nice podcast.
Do something.
Something.
Do something.
Do something
nice.
nice.
Do something nice.
Do something nice. Do something nice.
Do something nice.
Oh, hello, my friend. How is your day? Are you having a good day today? You know, this episode is going to be for those who may have made a big or small mistake in their life. Did you, by chance, have one of those days, or even weeks, where you have made mistakes? You know, sometimes people may act bad, do bad things, or not think things through, which results in bad things happening. We've all made mistakes sometimes. It's how you learn from those mistakes, and if you work on preventing those mistakes in the future, that makes a huge difference in how things will turn out. Some people encounter situations that just keep happening, or they feel they have no choice but to do bad things. But then there are some situations where you can turn things around. Do something nice for someone, you know? I have a few stories that are perfect examples of what I mean. Stories about a few people who were in trouble with the law, but later realized they have a part in their heart that said they needed to do the right thing to those around them. In the year 2000, a man named Thomas Yoxall had gotten in trouble with the law for crimes of theft. He had originally lost even his right to carry a weapon, which later was able to earn back years later. And normally you might say it should never happen, or you might be indifferent, regardless of the controversial topic. In this situation, it was a blessing in disguise. In what was about to turn into a scene straight out of an action movie, Thomas was heading down I-10 on his way to a conference that was in California. But by pure chance, he had been passed by a patrol car earlier that morning. As he continued down the interstate, he finally came across an active crime scene, which, to be honest, I'll spare you the gruesome details. But what is important is that he saw that the officer was in danger of being killed by an assailant who had the upper hand on the officer. Yoxall drove by and saw this, so he stopped to intervene. A dangerous situation that most civilians would not want to be part of. But Thomas knew he had to act quick before the officer was killed on the scene. Yoxall called out to the man, telling him to get off the officer, but the assailant continued to attack the officer. Yoxall yelled to the officer, asking permission to help the officer, and once he yelled yes, Thomas took out the assailant with his firearm, which, by the way, he was legally carrying. The police officer had admitted later that he couldn't go any more, and that this would have been his last breath if it weren't for Thomas being there. Yoxall later said to reporters, "People who know me best know I've come full circle in my life. God chose to put me in that place at that particular moment. I just can't see an evil like that perpetuated without intervening." He went on to say, "No member of our law enforcement should have to be in that situation of fear and being alone with nobody responding." Since then, Thomas and the police officer have become good friends. In another story, a man named Jamal Rutledge had just been arrested in Fort Lauderdale for violating probation. While being incarcerated, the officer collapsed in front of him. Cameras at the station show that Jamal didn't hesitate to try to save him. Unfortunately, since he was still handcuffed, he did the next best thing. He created a ruckus by kicking the security doors and yelling to try and get other officers to hurry in, and it worked. Officers rushed in to investigate and offer assistance to find that their colleague was having a heart attack. Using CPR and a defibrillator, they managed to save their partner's life, but it would have been a much different story had it not been for Jamal's quick thinking. The officer was rushed to the hospital and underwent a life-saving surgery, and has since then returned to full duty. Jamal, who had originally been on probation, was publicly recognized for his good deeds later that January. And who's to say that a criminal's skills can't be used for a good cause either? In fact, since we are still in Florida with these stories, there was a situation in Pasco County where a father had just buckled in his 1-year-old little girl into their car. However, when he tossed his keys to the side to do this, he did forget to retrieve them again before closing the car door, which in turn locked his little girl in on accident. Since she was buckled in and she's only 1, well, that is definitely a scary situation for any parent, especially when it's getting warm outside. Luckily, a group of inmates were out doing community service and repairing medians nearby. These low-level offenders managed to apply their skills and break into the car to rescue that little girl. The sheriff was quoted saying, "There's only a very small percentage of those criminals out there that really actually want to fight and attack us. But a lot of them, like these individuals, they know they made a bad mistake, bad choices, but they want to do the right thing in life." And they did. Which leads me to this episode's quote I want to share with you, which is from the 15th Dalai Lama. He said, "Time passes unhindered. When we make mistakes, we cannot turn the clock back and try again. All we can do is use the present well." Once again, time passes unhindered. When we make mistakes, we cannot turn the clock back and try again. All we can do is use the present well. There may be times where you make mistakes in life. Things go terribly wrong, and maybe you are to blame. But that doesn't have to define what happens now. So there is no better time than to make a change in your life. Recover from those mistakes by learning from them, and work at becoming a better version of yourself. Something that you honestly will do for the rest of your life, in fact. And of course, what better way to do that than to do something nice for someone else without being caught, right? So take on that challenge and see what happens to you. Even if you messed up before, maybe it's time to correct that now. I really do hope that you've been enjoying these episodes, that these episodes have really created a new spark in your life. Several people have been telling me that they just love to hear an actual podcast that talks about the good things in life, and that's the goal of this podcast. And even though this is the end for this episode, I really hope it turned your day around today. I would love to hear your stories, and I would love to share them on this podcast. So please, send them my way. I would love to see them, and I will definitely get it on one of the future episodes as quickly as possible. Of course, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can, which on Facebook, I'm at Do Something Nice Podcast. On Twitter, at Be a Nice Ninja. Or you can also follow my personal Twitter account at Jeff Bonanno. If you do have stories, please send them my way to mailbag@dosomethingnice.net. And of course, you can always check out these podcasts at the website of dosomethingnice.net. Thank you so much for listening in, and remember to be a nice ninja and do something nice. Please take care.